Tell me what your life was like before you died.
We were on a spring break. It was for my sister's spring break. She, at the last minute, couldn't go because they found out she had an autoimmune disorder, and her doctors were like, do not go to Mexico. If you get sick in Mexico, it's not good. Their medical systems, which is super ironic, are horrible. And so like the trip had already been bought, like everything like that. So we went, and I think it was like it was like the third or the fourth night, I lost my friend, and because we went out with my sister's friend, so we were doing like the spring break thing, and I'm sure I'll get like some comments around that because that always happens. But anyway, people are like, oh, I went through so much victim blaming, when I was after this whole thing of like, oh, you were drunk, all of that stuff. I'm just like, whatever. So I was really upset, and I didn't wait for someone to come and like walk with me because I was like, oh my God, I need to go now. So I was walking by myself. I was attacked, assaulted, and then I don't know how this happened because no one else was around, but then I was run over by like a motor vehicle. They said a motor vehicle or a motorcycle that was probably going about 60 miles per hour. I remember fighting these men, and then it was blank. I don't remember obviously a motor vehicle or anything like that, but then I remember I was out of my body, and I was laying my meat suit, this shell or this amazing human body that I'm in was just below there, and I ruptured my tibial artery, so I bled out a lot. And so I just saw my body, and I was like, oh damn, like I was way up there. But I just absolutely, when I went straight up to that divine, that unconditional love, I was so absorbed in that aspect. There was like the whole drama that was going below of like the ambulance trying to get in and all of them trying to figure stuff out. I mean, there's some near-death experiences where they like are very close, and they're like, they can report back what had happened and things like that. I'm like, I'm taking a vacation. I'm back home. I felt like I was back home. I was like without a body, and I was like expanding in my consciousness. I was enveloped in this unconditional love. On this plane, there is no space or time, which is very difficult for even my own brain to like get around. And so it's just a timeless space and just enveloped in love. And then there was a lot of telepathic communication of messages for me. So I remembered, who I was on a very deep level, that I am this consciousness that is more than physical, and that survives physical death. And that this is the eternal part of me, and this is who I really am. And I'm not my brain, I'm not my personality, I'm not my body, I'm not my income, I'm not my social status. Like, this is this energetic, soul, spirit, consciousness, whatever you like to put a word to it. That's me. This is the true me. So that was just the most profound experience, because here I'm looking at my human suit, and I'm like, oh, well, if I die, then maybe I'll just get another one, another body or whatever. It was like this kind of like very like detached sense of, oh, okay. I also kind of reiterate what you're saying, like, this is just my experience. I don't need anyone to like buy into my experience, because it is my experience. So but what I was shown is I had several previous lifetimes. There was a couple things that was also shown to me, is that the universe, or that everything is recorded in between lifetimes. You can study and see where you need to heal or where you want to grow. So your thoughts, your intentions, your actions, everything's recorded, and you have access to that. So this is an interesting thing about my NDE. I was in this plane of consciousness where there was no visuals. There wasn't, I guess it was like kind of more like the void. It was like unconditional love. It was very personal, super impersonal. And I was like, wait, I know all these people that had died before. After when I started to look into near-death experiences, I was like, that's interesting. And there were other souls, but it was there was not like, it wasn't on the astral realm, right? Where the astral realm, we have our light bodies and we look kind of like our physical. It was almost more raw than that. It was more just potent, pure, like unconditional love. And in theta healing, my main technique that I do, or that I teach and I heal with, it's called the seventh plane, and it's just pure love. And there's many different planes in that system in her paradigm. But that made sense because on a different plane, there's the astral realm. There's like, you see Jesus, you can see all these different masters, but on this plane of the seventh plane is pure love, pure unconditional love. But when you're in this energetic space outside your body, you're just submerged and you remember certain things that we forgot as humans from the spiritual realm. And so it was just like this remembering of, oh, past lives. Oh, everything's recorded. So it's like you're awakening to what you once remembered, but it's like you fell asleep when you were incarnated or something. When I looked at the theta healing, how she structured the planes, it was the seventh plane is more of just pure love. It's just pure love. And the fifth plane and the fourth plane, that's where you'll see in the astral realm. The thing that I had was, in the remembering, I was remembering the pre-birth planning, like before I was born, and like why I chose my parents. In my experience, I chose my parents, and I love the Buddhist take about life is like to be born human, like you've done something amazing, like it is a gift, like that is an amazing, remarkable accomplishment, evolution to be incarnated, even in the shittiest of circumstances. You've done amazing things, like you're at this level type thing. And also, here's the thing is, when we're hurt and when we're wounded, we need care, and that's emotional and spiritual. And I definitely, when I was in my wounded space and my wounded lens, and I was even after my near-death experience, because traumas can be so impactful, it just overtakes you. And so you view anything, your wounded self, your wounded paradigm takes things in, and then it uses it as ammunition to blame yourself or to hurt yourself more. That's kind of going into like, everyone's in their own paradigm and their own belief system. So if I share my truth, people are filtering it through their own wounds, insecurities, core wounds, unhealed trauma, and programming. And that's why I try to hopefully energetically transmute this on some level. I always meditate and pray before, because I hope, because our words can be distorted or it can be construed through our own lens of programming, unhealed wounds, unhealed. Sometimes I'm like, wow, it's an amazing thing that we can actually communicate. I'm like, oh my God, a person heard me, actually heard, because it's like, I know, because I'm in a body and I have programs, I'm in the process, and I can still just like my first kind of sense of when someone says something, and if it triggers a little old thing, it'll, your wounds will just like, oh, this is how it is. And you have to like really sit with yourself and like, is this the highest truth, or am I really hearing this? So I also was aware that there's a part of me in that pre-birth, because each lifetime that you live, you're learning or growing something and focusing on something. So in this lifetime, there was a part of me that wanted to have this type of experience and to live and to share about it. So there is this spiritual energy and also a deep healer energy archetype that was also coming through in this lifetime. And that definitely was like apparent when I was little. I always wanted to help. I always wanted to help heal my sister. That's always been like part of my essence, and definitely part of like this lifetime, or what I'm here to share and to give and to teach. So when I was up there, it was like, there is choice, but you already chose like to have this experience and go back and survive. And so there was this point where I was like looking at staying, but I had already been like, but I'm going back type thing. But I got to see, and I was like, well, if I died, like my mom and one of my sisters would have been like devastated to the point where their lives would have gone like this way. When I came back from Mexico to St. Louis, I was covered in blood and I was not clean. They didn't really clean me off in the hospital in Mexico. So it was a very disturbing sight from what people tell me. I told my mom not to take any pictures because I didn't want a visual memory of what I looked like. But people, when they would come to me in the hospital, I saw grown men just like burst into tears. I thought that I was disfigured. I didn't see my reflection for 3 weeks because I was bedridden and they didn't get me up into a wheelchair for that long, and which was the most painful thing I've ever experienced because getting out. But I had mentally prepared because people's reactions to me were so horrific and I knew I'd broken something. I was like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to roll with this because I had had that experience and I was like, I am not a physical body. And so I had just assumed that like I wasn't going to recognize myself on a physical level. The first time I saw myself, I can remember I knew there was a mirror here just because I know the hospital rooms. And so I was like expecting not to recognize myself, but I was like, oh, I'm me, really swollen. And like I had a cut right here. So it's a bandage and I was really swollen. As I was coming down, through that lightning speed, like portal, that divine consciousness was like, oh, bring this energy and anchor it into your body and also share it. Or this needs to be embodied and also anchor it into earth and with others. So it was like this energy of love needs to come down, right? Come down to you. And the whole message that was the biggest message is for me and also to share with others, because this is not just for me. This is to be shared. This is a part of what you're supposed to do, is to talk about this and to share about it. Also share about the healing, and also equally part of my mission is also to share about healing trauma, because there's a lot of ignorance around it. There's a lot of shame around it. There's a lot of fear around it. And also just as a society, we need to kind of upgrade and to really understand this more on a holistic manner so we can really support each other and heal. Because a lot of people unintentionally hurt trauma survivors or survivors just by their own ignorance and their own fears, like just world theory, all of that, their own ego feeling threatened and scared. Living from a space of freedom and love and living on my soul's terms and completing that. Keep going and love, pure love with no conditions, no stipulations, pure high vibrational love. Love, growth, and connection.